Recording is on.
Okay, so today is January 9th, 2022, and this is our Western Desiderata meeting. Actually, before the meeting, we are having a discussion, an intellectual discussion about our interaction with Paul Kingsnorth. So whoever wants to have a word.
I think what Tom said was we left it. I think we have to develop that. Well, I think my microphone is not working. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
I think that first the thing you said that he only touched the surface and you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So essentially, I can't. I think you can forgive Paul for possibly just scratching the surface of all of the conversations and the deep diving we've been doing on all of the things we've been talking about, and you could be forgiven for thinking that we are misanthropes, because I think often there's a frustration and with the human race. But if he was to look a bit deeper, then he'd realize that. But so, and I think he's probably, busy guy, so he hasn't done the deep dive. But what I was also saying was that a lot of people that are soul searching are reverting back to Christianity purely, maybe from our perspective, a misguided way, because everything is framed as they're framing it as a spiritual battle, which in that sense I think that there is something in that. It's just misguided to go back to. They're conservatives, and a lot of conservatives are doing that now. They're framing everything as a spiritual battle, particularly in light of the pandemic and the fighting against powers. Because if you just come with data and science to argue why you disagree with certain draconian measures, then that just doesn't. That's not working anymore. So in that frame, that they've got a point, I think, of the spiritual battle, but it's wrong from our perspective, to revert back to Christianity. I don't know. I don't think Hugh he never did that problems with Christianity video, but I was always waiting for that one. That was going to be a lot of work though after the Darwin one, but that would have been the icing on the cake. But it's how many would that be? That would probably be another 10-part video series.
Oh yeah, it could be a lot, but I started on it. I've done some material even on Atmos, which is St. John at St. John's tomb. And I said some outrageous things, which there were pilgrims in the background, and they were trying to overhear what I was saying, which was very embarrassing because I could have got burnt at the stake for the stuff I was saying on camera. But anyway, I'll put it together. I've done some stuff in Rome, at the Colosseum and at the Milvian Bridge. So I've been wanting to put it out, but you just take so many casualties for that. That's the real hardcore thing. So I do think it is a spiritual battle. I actually agree with them, and I think we're on the same side. I think we're on the same side as these Christians, but it's St. Paul's cult, I mean, St. Paul, Kingsnorth, and St. Paul of Tarsus, but this is why I think it's so dangerous what these people are doing. I just after that I came across this thing which I posted, and this is what I'm really scared of. I think that there's going to be an epidemic of it. It's this thing, this guy in Colombia, allowed him to do assisted suicide. He's not really critically sick. I mean, he's sick, but he's not critically sick. So it's elective suicide. And I think what you're going to see is a lot of people doing this. So what's particularly interesting is exactly what I've been trying to get across to people, that our business is to make it through the challenges ahead. Our business is survival. We like humanity. We are on team human. The guys that we're against, the Christians and us, are team transhuman. It's not, everybody thinks that it's misanthropic because it's an alien cortex conceit. Alien cortex calls itself humanity. I don't. I think it's an adjunct, and it's lethal. And so, a lot of people say if you're anti-civ, they say, well, you just hate everything. Because they're like, civ is not everything. Everything is nature, the sea, it's the oxygen, it's the world system is everything. You are a tiny little part. Our global industrial civilization is narrow, it's conceited, self-centered, self-referential. It's a horrible little cancer. Not little anymore. It started off as a horrible little cancer and it's consumed the planet. And so they say that that's everything. Our civilization is everything. It's so, anthropocentric. And so then you say, I'm not against anthropos. I'm against alien cortex. And anybody that's pro-human has to be against this left hemisphere little demon, which is God. It is literally God and the devil. We created God in our own image, or rather the alien cortex does. I mean, it says it in the fucking Bible. It says about the Logos. There is the Logos. I am the Word. And it's basically, who's the Word? It's Broca's area. It's Wernicke's area. It didn't even, it's your right hand writing, like, autodidactic, and it's just terror. It's
deeply challenging because all we've known is all of the institutions and the culture and everything that we've created in this world. And a lot of that, as Kingsnorth was saying, does come from, it has in the West, it's all Christian root, isn't it? It's everything is based by that. And that's what he was arguing, that if you go back to, if we're missing something now, but that's where he's missing the point that we're making, because he's reverting back to say, to try and conserve and go, we've taken a wrong turn and we need to head back to what established civilization. And it's like, that doesn't make sense, because that's what's got us into this pickle that we're in now. That's the root of it, isn't it? It's difficult. It's incredibly, it's like,
absolutely. It's in Genesis 3:16. It's all about, that I give you dominion over the plants and the animals and everything that moves, to do with as you will and stuff. And it's like that. Genesis 3:16 is basically the charter for the destruction of the planet. Those words, there's more destruction done to those planets in the name of that paragraph than any other writing in history. The atomic bomb, E equals mc squared, hasn't come close to the damage that one paragraph has done. And to actually go through, a kind of catharsis of understanding the planet and stuff, and then run back to the alien cortex is just pure Stockholm syndrome, right? It's you're running back to the demon that did this.
I also think that not only is it a conservative stance, but I think that is also as an author, a writer who is used to be in circles of people who are always I mean, he's a great writer, and I must say, I really, really I still like what he writes. I like what he's writing in the Abbey of Misrule and all the papers on the machine and the actual pandemic. I mean, it's brilliantly done. He's got a brilliant brain. He's a very clever guy. He's, but I'm fed up of tiptoeing around religious people, because there's this kind of thing where you have to respect every time it comes. Well, I've got some Muslim friends. It's the same story. I've given up on respect for any religion of any kind. Personally, I don't take any gloves now, because that's another conservative thing that we've been built in. You have to respect religion. So they don't pay tax. They can teach kids and probably rape them. They can, it's all this respect for religion. I just don't get it anymore. And I mean, you really literally, as soon as you touch the sensitive spot of religion, you're walking on eggshells. You just think, okay, I must think. It's a bit like being politically correct, and it's a bit like, all these new woke type of things. It's the same logic. What do you think?
Yeah, nobody will call it. And but there's something very disingenuous, and a lot of it was done as a reaction, I think, to the Holocaust, because a lot of this stuff has been steered by Zionism, and it is the alien cortex protecting itself. All of this stuff started with the Aryans, right? It goes further back than Genesis. Moses is really Hyksos, so he's really an Egyptian priest, and he's Aryan. And so that Aryan thing, the Zionists and Nazis and stuff, they're all Aryans. So all of this stuff is protection for the alien cortex. This is the alien cortex protecting itself in this kind of Janus-headed way. Is if it has two heads. It is like Tweedledum and Tweedledee, and it says if you attack this head, then this head becomes the victim, and then that head becomes the perpetrator. If you attack that head, it switches. So you in court in this double bind, and that's the game. It's a no-win situation. If you go for Peter or go for Paul, you get equally condemned by Peter or Paul, so that you can go for neither, and then hey, alien cortex wins. And so it's playing this duplicitous game. And so the way through it is to say, look, we're sick of this game. We don't want to play, bipolar partisan politics. We don't want to. Zionists and Nazis are the same thing. You can stop the shit about anti-Semitism. We're not anti-Semitic. We're anti-Zionist. We're the same reason why we anti-Nazi. It's the same. And the same reason why you're anti-communist. All of these things are the same. It's like somebody just call it and say, we're sick of this bullshit. So stop playing like Democrat or Republican, and they're all the same. All of these things are the alien cortex playing this duplicitous game. And so a lot of the Zionist thing came down as you can't say anything against religion. Why? Because otherwise it translates to anti-Semitism, and that translates to alien cortex. And so it's just a game of the alien cortex. It's the demon protecting itself. So Moloch and the machine, everything that Kingsnorth writes about, he runs tomorrow. Right? If Kingsnorth sees this, he should go and see, have another look at Metropolis if you haven't seen it before. It lays it out there bare. It says exactly what the machine is. It's Moloch. Who's Moloch? It's the Christian God. It's Baal. So the Christian God has two brothers, right? If you want to stop believing in Christianity, just go and have a look at the history. There's three Sumerian gods. There's Hadad, there's Yahweh, and there's Baal, I think it is. But anyway, those are the three guys. The Hyksos take Yahweh, and then they start, beating up the other god. That's why you see this ding-dong battle in the Old Testament about Baal and the bull and all of that stuff.
But there is a big compliment for you at the end of the message I was reading, saying that the cult circle, interestingly enough, with his self-regard, self-penned sacred text, and deep sense of certainty about the shape of the universe, Hugh does make an excellent cult leader. So,
The shape of the universe? What?
yeah, your sense of certainty about the shape of the universe.
He's
So
being sarcastic.
Yeah, so I think we're going back to a superficial analysis of who we are and, kind of putting us in a box and all that. So, as you said, I think it would be a good occasion to invite him if ever he listens to this, or maybe if I write to him again, to dive into it if he wants, because personally, I have read a lot of his books. I've followed the Dark Mountain for many years. I know a lot of things about him. So why doesn't he do the same? Because then he might not get this wrong idea. But anyway, you're a great cult leader.
But do you think he's being serious with that, or do you think he's being sarcastic?
I don't know. I think it's very difficult. I'll send you the email if you like. You look at it yourself. I can send it to everybody else. It's just I think he doesn't understand what's happened there. It escapes his usual surroundings are not like we are. He's on swampy territory there. So
I would love to talk to him.
Oh, me too.
But yeah, I mean,
You have to be a sense maker to get an interview with Paul. I think, he's doing some quite high-profile interviews now, isn't he? I don't know. Why was it? Why wouldn't he come on? Is that because he's afraid? He didn't want it recorded either, did he? What was the reason?
I think he saw some of the stuff that I said, and he was insulted.
Yeah, he went on the sub and he read the first reaction to, I can't remember when it was. There was a comment on the Charles Eisenstein and Paul interview, and there was a series of comments on his position. And from then on, I had contacted him. So I'd say he went back on the sub, and then his response was published today. And then there was an exchange with me, and it's just a series of. So he calls what we're saying, he calls it junk at one stage in one of the emails. So I don't want to engage on that level. I just don't consider but I don't consider as producing junk. So we'll have to just maybe let it sleep a bit, I think, and
I think let it
the manifesto and more important things that might want to discuss now. But yeah.
But no, I'm pleased with this result. You might be confused why, but there needs to be some stirring up. It's you can't play nice in this game. We're at the end game. It is of biblical consequences. This is the end of the human story, and you can't play pussyfootsy nicey stuff. There's not enough time left for that. You got to be brutally honest, and everybody must just accept that we're talking from our brutal honesty part, and we're not playing vindictive games or anything. There's a lot at stake. You see, these guys are circling around the intellectual dark web, and Paul's got the chops to go on that circuit and become quite famous. But I think it's very, very dangerous, because there's a big potential audience for that Christian message. And as far as I'm concerned, all the psychology I know and have seen firsthand is that's a Kool-Aid circle right there. Those guys are heading for the Kool-Aid. That's why I get so animated about Jem Bendel. I know that tone. I know this demon. Just trust me. I know this fucking demon. And this demon is the Kool-Aid demon. This is phenobarbital in the jungle. They're walking willfully in this path, and it's the path laid down by Christ. This is what Jesus did. It was Jesus is evil, and the reason why Jesus is evil was because he said, the at least his chroniclers said that he is doing the suffering for you. So he is making the sacrifice. Your alien cortex doesn't need to die. You don't have to go through psychosis and transformation. I'll do it for you. And it's a lie. Again, it's alien cortex substitution. It's you have to suffer. You have to go through this. This is what's bad about that guy in Colombia committing suicide. He said, I don't think God's going to hold it against me for just, kind of bulking out of this suffering. Now, we've just been talking in the previous meeting about how everybody's kind of mollycoddled and soft. And so, this is the biggest danger, is as we go into this real thing, you're supposed to go through trial by fire and suffering, which leads to your eupsychosis and your transformation and enlightenment. What these guys are going to do is they're going to fake it and commit suicide, just like Price with his little fucking nail scissors and archery. So this is dangerous, dangerous territory. And you see, they easily have the capacity to know what I'm talking about. But they're going willfully. They're following the siren song to death. And anybody that follows will actually taste the Kool-Aid. Our aim is to live, to make sure that somebody makes it through this bottleneck. And these guys are not candidates for it. These guys are candidates for an early exit by the People's Temple or, the Heaven's Gate. See, Heaven's Gate is literally saying what these guys are saying. Heaven's Gate is literally a metaphor for suicide. So these guys are necromancers. They're suicidal. So you can see it. That you go through the pain of Dark Mountain, the pain of seeing this planet die. There's all the stuff that we've been through to get to as doomers. And so they've been through that pain, and they want pain relief. They want to go through this birth with an epidural. You can't go through this birth with an epidural. You have to go through it conscious, right? It's part of the process. Where the metaphor breaks down with rebirth is it's a psychological rebirth. Part of the birthing process is pain. So you can't extract the pain out of it. Use this intellectual chloroform and all of this Christian bullshit to try and say, ease your way through this. It's not going to work. You're going to wind up in a fake transformation. And that fake transformation is a transformation unto death, to nothingness. There's no heaven. There's no place you go to. It's just like that song by Astra. It's like, the physical world is the only world. If you destroy the ground you walk on, nobody will take you anywhere. Just get that and stitch it on your fucking pillow. The physical world is heaven. Right? This is Arcadia. It's not Arcadia anymore because the alien cortex came into the Garden of Eden. But this planet is the Garden of Eden. And so you fuck this up, and there's nothing. There's darkness, there's oblivion, there's not a heaven, there's nowhere to go to. We cannot fuck this up. Everything is on the line now. So these guys are very dangerous, very, very dangerous.
Well, on another note, I meant to say that at the beginning of the meeting, but I got a reply for the DGR rep for the week of the 17th, so probably the 18th or the 19th. I will email everybody with the hour. She's given me times, etc. And it will be very interesting to talk to her because she has also witnessed firsthand the same meeting I was years ago with that Jem Bendel type of group, Deep Adaptation, where she completely freaked out like me on that day, where she saw actually what you're talking about, this the pain as an end in itself, kind of not a platform to grow or to something to run away from, with all means that you could choose, and with the Christian background that permeates Irish life. You could feel that with your gut. You didn't need any words. You just wanted to run. And she will probably share that when we talk with her. So I'll keep you posted on that. Probably the 18th or the 19th. You'll have to give me your, if people are able, times and stuff like that. I'd like to be as many people on the call as possible.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. Yeah. But anyway, I hope by communicating my anxiety to people about this, this is, you know, the trial of the century is coming up, and so the trial of our whole species existence. So it's like, yeah, this is serious stuff. There's nowhere to hide. There's nobody has indemnity on this Titanic. Nobody has a little dry cabin that they can, you know, squeak through on. You know, so it's going to be challenging as all hell to make it through. You're going to have to be like a ninja.
Hugh, I also have a comment about perhaps, and I don't think we need to change, but just the name of the group, Extinctionati. Perhaps people think that, yeah, it's okay for us to be extinct. So people who just have a shallow or glancing look at our material say, well, therefore extinction. You know, like we're in defeat mode, and we're just, you know, we just want to be extinct.
Ah, there's a catch. So what it's supposed to be is actually, I love the name, and the reason why I love the name is exactly that, is that everybody thinks, oh, you know, we want to go extinct. No, it's a trap for the alien cortex. We want the alien cortex to go extinct. So
Ah,
see, the
okay.
alien cortex is has an element of Thanatos, you know, kind of Freudian psychology, this death wish. So there's Eros and Thanatos. So we could be called the Eronati, as you know, so people that want life. But that's the thing, is we say, come, little alien cortex. You know, you want death? Here, smell the incense. We're a church, we're a cult, you know, basically, you know, come, it's Kool-Aid at the end of it. No, there isn't.
Sorry,
It's
no
like,
Kool-Aid.
yeah, I say like, so basically, yeah, basically, I'm quite prepared to hand people Kool-Aid, but it has no phenobarbital in it. When you basically, you see, imagine this: uh, if Jim Jones, uh, Jem Jem Jones, or Jim Jones in you know, the jungle of Guyana with the People's Temple, it's well worth going looking and analyzing what he's saying on those. They have him on recorded. They have his words and stuff. So he talked on a microphone and stuff, and it's quite chilling. But when you get into it and really get into what he's saying, you know, this is an escape to another plane. But can you imagine what if he did this? If he took all his followers and he said, you know, all this phenobarbital, and they take this Kool-Aid and you're going to die. They all take the Kool-Aid and then say, you stupid fucks, you would take Kool-Aid from some tit in a jungle? What are you? How are you ever going to live? How are you ever going to be basically get to this communist utopia if you get suckered that easily? You know, I'd slap their freaking heads. Imagine what a cool bunch that would be. Say, now go back to New York, fucking sort this thing out. You know, we're not supposed to commit suicide. The jungle, what's wrong with you fucks? And they would have basically been transformed in that moment. But they would have gone back to New York and been very affected. Now they're a joke. They've become a byword for idiocy. And the same with Heaven's Gate. You know, the prize-winning comment, I think, of 1998 was, you know, so few comments, so many idiots. People want them to go and fucking jump off the ledge. And so, you know, it's like, we are suicidal. Part of our global industrial society is, it's not all progressive and positive. There is an element of loathing and hatred in it. It wants to die. See, Paul Kingsnorth and that said, he made this interesting comment about order, that, you know, he's got his house in order. See, what he's a conservative and he's thinking of order. We've spoken so many times about that. Order is the order of crystalline predictability. That is the pillar of salt. You know, that's so if you want predictability and determinism, and you don't like the mess, and you don't like the uncertainty and unpredictability of us, which he doesn't, because we give him a hard ride, right? So it's not safe, you see. So if you want the ultimate safety, predictability, where you're absolutely guaranteed that nothing bad will happen to you, or have no more pain, is death. That's what they really want. Underlying each, one of these, the transhumanist agenda in, all this millenarian scientism and futurism is this idea that things become predictable. You see, they want AI to make things safe, predictable, deterministic, take the risk out of everything. So, yeah, that means death, right? The price of life is risk, uncertainty, chaos. And so they are utterly life-hating. And it comes through as order, it's law and order. That's basically regularity. And it's certainty that they want. And but
But
it's so
listen, didn't he? He went to when you say he's got his things in order. He went to go and live in a like a small holding in Ireland, didn't he? That's
internal order. So he was careful to put the word internal household order. Yeah. The idea is a Christian idea. But the idea is a Christian idea that, my body is a temple for the Lord, and it's and then that's so many references to my house and to temples. So by the way, for Arians, a temple is like the temple in Jerusalem, the Jewish temple, and for the temples in India, they represent representations of the human body. And so they have the Sanctum Sanctorum inside. It's the same in a Hindu temple. They actually have a golden staff, and it's called the Sanctum Sanctorum, and that staff represents your spine. And the Egyptians had it too. The column, the Jed column, all the Star Wars Jedi Knights. That's the Jed column. That is your spinal column. And so this is something for the Aryans, is they're building these temples to represent your body. It's kind of like a university. It's like a graphic university. So they show in the murals. They have murals. They have all the animals and things on the outside. That's saying the outside world, where there's your environment and animals and habitat. And then if you study the architecture of a temple, it is the philosophy of how they think your psyche is constructed. So if I don't think Freud knew that, but if he'd known that, he could have gone and done a little tour of a Hindu temple, and they would have shown him not a Kali temple or a Shaivite temple, but a Brahmanic Hindu temple, and that would show you each thing is laid out as bits of the psyche. You can say, here you have the forecourt, and here's the little temple that represents the id. You can have a little tour of the human psyche, but I don't think a lot of people know that. But anyway, the whole thing is why you have all this ritualization of the temple in Judaism. It's the temple is more than a building, right? It's a representation of the human body, and often in Hinduism they say the temple with 5 gates, and it's like it's supposed to be a little bit of a conundrum that they tell novitiates. You go like, oh, the sacred temple with the body of 5 gates, and you learn all about it and stuff, and eventually you go, oh, temple with 5 gates. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. It's basically no. How many holes have you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, temple of 9 gates. Yeah, sorry. So then you go, oh, got it. Oh, it's a metaphor for the human body. Oh, I'm a clever student. And they go, yeah, congratulations, you graduated. But they so that's the trick, and it's similar what they're doing with the Jewish temple, the Temple of David. And so there are codes in it. You see, that's why it comes in into Freemasonry, and you have the pillar of Jeroboam.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I went down a little rabbit hole the other day with, well, for a while actually. There's all of that in law. If you look at all of the like legalese and the uppercase letters, if you know everything when you have a bank account and all your documents that associate you with the state, your last name, your surname is put in uppercase letters. That's because that's not English. That is a grammatical complete nonsense. It's Babel. It's dog Latin. So it's a graphical representation, but it only makes sense in these things like the Black's Laws Dictionary. When you start looking into it, they have all these symbols and meanings and that intrinsically links back to, because a lot of that is all steeped in like the Bible and Christ and all these symbolism and patterns. There's a really good channel actually. I think I posted a few things of his over the last few months. Justinian Deception, and he does a whole deep dive on Accursius back in the 12 something or 11 something, and Accursius was a jurist, and he was the first one that put the corpus juris together, and he formalized the Roman legal system, and he made it so that everybody had to have a surname. So when you have your birth certificate before the age of majority, when you have your Christian name, and that is your name as a man or woman, is, for example, me, like T. Thomas James. But then when you become an adult and you accept that, you go into the debtor side of this office, of this triangle office, and you then become dead. You essentially become, your two names are put together. You think your name is your Christian name and your surname put together, but they're brought together to make you into a slave, like, to join the system of the dead, which is all, this admiralty law that's all maritime, corporate law, which is all on the sea. Anyway, he goes into all this. It's incredibly enlightening, but a lot of that is like what you're saying. It's all like he looks at all these structures and he goes into he's got a whole video on the alphabet, and he's figured out, going through like the Chicago Manual of Styles on all this language that they use, and it's quite scary. It's quite a deep system that we just have no idea. Just rules everything in our world.
I find it quite interesting that when I got US citizenship, part of the naturalization process was this little mini ceremony, which was surprisingly Freemason. But one of it is you got the chance to change your name. So I changed mine to a dumbass, of course. But you literally, were given the ceremony of the death of your old, self from the old world, and you had a chance. They basically did a little ceremony of your new identity, complete with a new name, which I thought was striking. But it is all that kind of stuff that you talk about. Anyway, it's kind of interesting that coming out of that naturalization process, I think I was the only white guy, and like 3,000 people in this large hall in Los Angeles. And but coming out of that, there were lots of guys trying to recruit you to get you sign up to vote, and that was also pretty interesting because there are no Democrats there. They were all conservatives and Republicans, because all those new immigrants, they become Republican, and I don't think Democrats know that. They're all pro-immigration and stuff, and they don't know. They assume all these guys are coffee colored and stuff, and they think, oh well, that's a natural Democrat. Those guys are as conservative as fuck. I mean, they have a large, the first tenth of it is guys in uniform. They're all in the military, so a lot of them are Filipinos, and their path to naturalization is service in the military, and so they're as Republican as you can get. They're almost the guys that stormed the Capitol building, and all these dimwit Dems are, liberals, they're thinking, oh yeah, these immigrants are our people. No, they're not. They staunch Christians.
Oh
Thought it
my
was
God, that
funny.
was so funny, that anniversary, wasn't it? The storming of the Capitol, that they were playing it like it was, they were comparing it to the blooming, like, almost to like Pearl Harbor or some, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like, they made this huge thing. It was so disastrous. Like, yeah, one person died, didn't they? And it was someone who, it was one of the protesters who was shot dead, I think the policeman that died, that was like afterwards for other health conditions, but I just like, yeah, unbelievable. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, yeah, they did a speech and it was painful. It was awful. Just yeah.
Massively divisive, which is the whole game. But yeah, I mean, all of this stuff is theatre, so it's just done for the consumption of the masses. They're not really going to let anything change because they have a vice grip. It's like that other South African guy said on that Divine Beast thing. He said, like my doppelganger. So South Africans know all this stuff because we went through it. South Africa was like a kindergarten where you could see all of this stuff. It was small enough and parochial enough that you could see how it all functions. We saw how these secret societies like the Broederbond and stuff like that all managed the country from behind the scenes. So nobody had any doubt about the deep state. I mean, the Broederbond was outed. They went to a meeting and they got all the number plates of all the guys in the meeting, and they outed everybody. It was like the entire aristocracy in South Africa was part of the secret handshake organization. And they. So South Africans never had any problem with this. Every South African, particularly white South Africans that come to the civilized world, have this experience of shock where they realize, you guys don't know what's going on, do you? Because we can see it all, and all these liberals and stuff, they're completely taken in by this. They say you do know what's going on here. You say they don't. And it's a shock. It was a shock for me to realize that, like, these guys don't do conspiracy theories. Like, that's like saying I don't do politics or I don't understand politics. It's like there is a deep state. They're running all this. The CIA. Can you honestly see like Bush Senior go from being the head of the CIA to being the president, and then his dopey son, who has no other credentials except he's in skull and bones, he's virtually a cretin, and he gets to be president? And like, are you not following the script, guys? It's like,
yeah, but you see, your that man from South Africa, I listened to it quite. It was very interesting. I really liked that podcast. He's saying a lot of things we're talking about here, like you exactly. But one very interesting thing, he stated that he said most of you here, and he was talking mostly to Britons and Europeans, boomers. You've grown up in peace. You've grown up in sort of a relative, hypnotized stability, whatever. And he was saying exactly what you're saying, because he got a rude awakening because of the conditions where you grew up. He was probably, I'd say he's probably your age, and he's seen it all. So we here, my generation and the people after me, haven't a clue. I mean, honestly, I'm still naive personally on certain things. I know that well.
You see, when the regime crumbles, you get a look behind the curtain. So we got the apocalypse where they draw back the curtain and you get to see all the shit behind the stage, and you get the whole. It's like a Shakespearean play where they come and afterwards all the actors come out and take a bow and explain that's what the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was. So we got to see all of this shit and got all conspiracy theories confirmed in graphic detail and stuff. And so, but the same happened with the Soviet Union. Is a lot of the stuff we know about, the flippening and stuff we know because of the collapse of the Soviet Union. You wouldn't have heard about it if it wasn't for that. But we know all the stuff, all of this amazing shit came out because of the collapse of the Soviet Union. But I think people in America and Britain went and said, like, oh, that's the Soviet Union. And I'm like, no, that's every fucking country. Do you think you're special? Do you think that something different was going on in the Soviet Union to America? What fucking planet are you on? It's like that. You think, oh, their screen falls down and you get to see all the dirt behind the scenes, and then so you think Russia had dirty laundry and American, but it's a game of power. So the more power you have, the more skeletons in the closet you have, and the more nefarious stuff is going on behind the curtain. Well, Britain and America are one thing. Right? They basically, the British Empire moved to America. It's part of the banking system, and so that is the power center. That's the new Rome. They modeled themselves on Rome and Sparta. And so that is the new Rome. So it's like, so they've got 1,000 times dirtier secrets, and they come out all the time. I mean, why do you think Blair's getting knighted now? You can have a petition of 1 million people. You're not going to get anywhere, because they're exactly like what that South African guy said, is these guys are the middle management. All the guys who you think are in charge, that you're going, gluing your tits to the road and XR and stuff, pleading to them to do something about climate change. You are pleading to the hired help. You're asking the butler to go and reform the plantation. It's like these guys are nothing. I said that these guys are all Neoplatonists, right? So so in the Neoplatonists, they say that you have these class of people. It's the Aryan caste system. They said you have people of gold. These are the Brahmins, the people that behind the scenes run everything with a noble lie. And then they say that, the people are too dumb and too sheep-like to actually run. This is what it says in Plato. Go and look at the Timaeus and the Republic. And it's saying like that, they have to be fooled and cajoled to think that they're in control and basically paternalized because they're children. So then the second group are the silver individuals. Blair is the silver individual. He is a guy who they give reward. He basically, they suck dick. They're bootlickers, right? That's their only thing. Blair, I don't think Blair had any opinion on going to Iraq or not. I think he basically he just knows what his masters wants, and he's prepared to basically be the front face on it. And so they have to give him the freaking knighthood, because that's the system. It's like, you did our dirty work, we give you your reward. They can't not give him a reward just because the sheep are baying. It's like, come on, that's how the system works. So, but everybody thinks Blair's somehow in control, and he is Bush's poodle, and he went to Bush and Blair were just bit players in a much bigger scheme. I mean, come on, you seriously think they went to war in Iraq because the president and prime minister wanted to go? It's like, they don't have any desires other than to basically move up in the coupos. They want to move up in the prison system.
Blair is just like, he's got his fingers in so many pies. I know what you're saying. You're exactly right. Of course, he's just a puppet, but he just, oh God, the things he does, and he's just such a snake. He is like evil personified. You look at the guy. I think there was this. He's there on a Sunday.
You think he's an exception?
Sorry.
They all are. The trick is to make you think he's an exception.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Blair came from nothing, just like Obama. Obama came from party politics in Chicago. Chicago's Mayor Daley's thing. This is St. Valentine's Day massacre terror. This is the most corrupt, mafia-ridden city in America. He came up through that. Do you think you do that by being nice? do you think you do that by polishing shoes? No, you do that by licking boots of the guys, and basically you show that you're prepared to do any crime, and then basically they will elevate you. So if you look good and you slick and you have no moral qualms, they will promote you. That's the deal that Obama made, and that's the deal. How do you think you get from nothing in a grammar school to the halls of power? Basically, you elevated there. They select you, and you have to go through literally a ceremony right, in Bohemian Grove. Like, don't be stupid, man. Surely you can see all this.
What's your take on this Kazakhstan business? Do you think that the America and CIA are in there, like just trying to? It's like a play, you know, to get to rile Russia, or do you think
Yeah.
it is a genuine uprising? I expect it's another revolution.
No, it's CIA. It comes straight from Gene Sharp's playbook. So it's the State Department meddling, trying to you see, because we're in the Cold War, the second Cold War, right? And so Putin's playing games with gas to Europe, and but you know, you got to. I mean, Putin's a psychopath, sure, but you got to be a little bit sympathetic because he's no worse than any of the others. They just want a buffer around Russia. America is aggressive, and it's encircling China and Russia and Iran in the mode of containment, and North Korea, but they're trying to bottle them up, right? They're trying to choke them, and so no country. I mean, put the shoe on the other foot. If Russian forces invaded Mexico or Cuba or Canada, do you think America would go, nah, we're okay with them having hypersonic missiles on the border just next to the the falls in on the Canadian side? We're fine with that.
Remember Cuba?
Niagara Falls
Remember
missile
Cuba?
site, we're okay with that.
Remember Cuba? I was a child, but I remember Cuba. You know, what I mean at the time, I could hear grown-ups saying, "That's it," like we're toast. You know, it's the war.
But do you know why the Russians put missiles in Cuba?
No.
Well, no one knows this part. Does anybody know the reason why?
Well, you might know. Go ahead.
It was retaliation for America putting missiles in Turkey. America put medium-range missiles in Turkey, which was a huge upset in the Cold War. In fact, it was almost a declaration of war because it took all the time. Everything is based on how many minutes you have to retaliate. It's mutually assured destruction is based on the ability to do equal damage to the enemy. So it's crucial that you have enough minutes to actually identify a missile threat and then be able to respond in kind. And so what they did by putting missiles in Turkey was a direct provocation, because it took the time down from about 30 minutes to annihilating the Kremlin to about 5. And so basically it's saying, dude, click, we've got a gun here. Say like, okay, blink. And so they had to respond. It was a mortal threat to Russia. And they totally airbrush that out of this part of the story, out of the thing. And then the next thing you know, it's Khrushchev aggressively putting missiles in Cuba because he had to balance the threat on the missiles in Turkey. And but this was Kennedy, right? We're very, very lucky that the Secret Service took him out, because what happened at the end of this was he went through back channels and did a back channel agreement with Khrushchev. He said, like, okay, we'll take the missiles out of Turkey, and in exchange, we'll help you save face on the missile crisis, and lift the block, but keep the blockade. And so Khrushchev had to agree, because that was his aim, is to get the missiles out of Turkey, and that was it. But we came within the doomsday clock said 6 minutes. So we came within 6 minutes of planetary destruction due to the Pentagon fucking it up royally.
Doomsday clock's isn't that at 2 minutes now? Did you say 6 minutes? I think it's like
no, we're at 2 minutes to midnight. No, but no, we came 6 minutes away from a nuclear annihilation. So what Kennedy made a gargantuan fuck up, and this is why we have to take the top off the pyramid as soon as possible. Is he had this false assumption that Khrushchev was in control of the missile batteries, the nuclear missile batteries, because he was. Kennedy was in direct command. You know, in America, he has the nuclear football and the codes, and he has final launch authority. The Soviet Union was a lot more democratic. And that never occurred to Kennedy. They didn't know that. It was a hole in the intelligence. And so Khrushchev was kind of baffled that why Kennedy is on the phone all the fucking time to him, because he thought that Kennedy knows he's already devolved nuclear launch authority to the missile sites. So it's at the kernel level on a guy, a guy 20 years old on a missile battery. He had launch authority and instructions that if he was attacked, to launch. And some of the guys were wanted to. They did countdowns. And so Kennedy was talking to a shadow, and Khrushchev was like, "Why are you talking to me?" I was like, "It's not in my hands where these missiles get launched." And they never knew that. This all came out decades later. So this is why it's so dangerous. Is everybody has all these false assumptions, right? So by these guys might have silver, these guys of silver caliber. They are just middle management, but they have their finger on the button, right? You see, the other guys are, they're in the background. They're running the monetary system and stuff. But like any general in a field, the guys in the back rooms, they devolve authority to the guys in the field. You can't run a war out of, a war room back in the home territory. You have to give complete command to your field commander, otherwise you'll fucking lose. And so that's what they do. They hand over control to people like they did, Mac, whatever his name is, in Korea, MacArthur. So basically, they handed complete control over to MacArthur, and MacArthur said, "Well, we've got 4 million Chinese troops on the other side of the Yalu River, and I say we just fry them, just nuke them." And they said, "Get that bastard out of the field. We can't do that." But he was gonna. MacArthur was gonna drop nukes on them.
The doomsday clock is at 100 seconds to midnight at the moment. Apparently.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, literally, they did launch sequences. They got down to seconds. I mean, literal launches.
Yeah, and of course that's why they ended up doing all the nuclear submarines, wasn't it? Eventually, because that was a better strategy to have them out at sea. But that's again, it's devolved, isn't it? So I guess they would just send some SMS message, and then the commander just has to do his thing, I guess. I don't know. But it's devolved to them, isn't it? They have to decide, I guess they get a message and then they decide to launch, don't they? The submarine all around the world.
There's an interesting thing which they have a letter on I suppose in the US submarines, but particularly in the Polaris submarines, the British submarines, have a letter from the Prime Minister. One of the first things a Prime Minister does when they sit down in office is write a letter to the nuclear commanders on the Polaris submarines. It's secret and remains secret what they write, but what they're supposed to do is to write in what to do in the case that Britain's annihilated. And I think a number of people, like I think Wilson and stuff, he said it's secret what I wrote, but he says all of them I think have done the same, and they kind of give hints what they've written, but it's all the same. They say go to Australia and fight it out. Anyway, this is all relevant stuff. We are barreling towards a hot war, in case somebody missed the plot here.
How did we get there?
It's a plan. It's part of the Rockefeller Foundation. It's Operation Lockstep. This is the Milliways Doctrine. So if you want, we got straight onto the manifesto here, but this is part of a plan. It's a big coordinated plan. You can't tell anybody, because this is, you know, don't look up. You can't tell the average normie in the street that this is all a coordinated plan. But it is. They've written it down. They weren't even very. They don't even cover their tracks because they're so secure in their authority.
Yeah, there was a good piece by, I think it was Neil Oliver. He's a Scottish like broadcaster here in the UK, but he's I don't think he was actually a historian. He's like an archaeologist. He's got a slot now on GB News. But anyway, I don't really watch much GB News, but he's done these quite good monologues where he just sits there talking to camera. He did one last night, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, do you remember all those magic eye pictures back in the 90s? You know, where you get the trick of it and you look, and then you know, like, and you see the pattern every time once you got it in your brain. It's a brain trick, visual trick." And he was saying that the pattern now is so obvious, and he was talking about what all the leaders around the world are saying. He said it started with Trudeau, and Trudeau was almost saying that people who don't get the vax are basically, people don't get the poke are, basically almost, I can't remember, he said it was maybe subhuman or something. And then Macron as well in France was saying basically, it's like, you are a non-citizen if you don't get it, essentially, is decoded is what he said. And then Boris said something about, oh, you know, that I can't remember exactly what he said, but it's, you know, it's all, and he's like, can you see the pattern? They're all saying the same things all along the West now. This more and more authoritarian, like, march towards a war against the virus, a war against something, you know. So
the next thing that happens in the script is the financial Great Reset. So I've been telling everybody, it's like, you know, it's unfolding. The aim is to destroy all the fiat currencies and to have digital currencies. And the point of a digital currency is that you will be able to be in micro control with the digital currency. So in other words, they can not only make an unperson out of you at the flick of a switch, you can literally not buy food. And so,
well, it was quite interesting what that guy from South Africa was saying this when I was listening to this morning on the podcast about the 10 stages of genocide. He was going through the list that's on Genocide Watch on the internet, and he was trying to describe at what stage different parts of the world were in that slow managed extinction, like you call it, but more or less like the genocide of eugenists, which he uses the word eugenist in his podcast. I don't know if you know about those 10 stages, but I have them in front of me there. It says it's like first classification, second symbolization, then discrimination, dehumanization, then organization, preparation, persecution, extermination.
So I posted
denial.
so I did post on ExoMed the one for Turkey. I said that,
yeah,
I posted that, and they're in the stage of preparation, which I've been warning people about. Is the genocide in Turkey is in preparation stage. They're very close to the execution. So sometime during the financial collapse, you know, the millions of Syrians that are in jeopardy there.
In the camps.
And so there are going to be some pretty grim times coming then. Pretty grim. But but anyway, there's, you know, you can see it all like coming together. And so yeah, there's the financial Great Reset is the next thing, and then the thing is where I've been warning people is the chips. When they've got clean chipsets, that's seems to me like the last prepping stage for war. They're in a very advanced stage, advanced stages for war. You know, I mean, we're talking that they're mobilized, right? If this was older times, right? This, in general, it's a declaration of war if you mobilize. See, what made everybody, all the dominoes fall into place for World War One was mobilization, and they kind of, each country forced itself into mobilization. But if you mobilize, the country next door is forced to mobilize too. Mobilization is the next stage before invasion. So if a mobilization is grounds in international law, you can attack a country if it mobilizes next door to you, because you can't. Nobody would expect a country to stand by with such an imminent threat. And we are literally at the stage of mobilization. Russia's mobilized, Iran's mobilized, China's mobilized, America's mobilized. So we are deep into the Cold War, and it's America is timing the beat. So America is setting the pace. China and stuff is a kind of a victim to it, and so China. I don't see how China can shake, because it can't do preemptive strike as far as I can see. And but America at some stage has to do a preemptive strike. So part of the shock and awe is nuclear, right? So the most shocking thing they can do to the world is to start dropping nukes, because the whole world is primed into this belief that, like we were just talking about, that if you flick the switch, lights out for humanity. And what I've been saying is it's not quite like that. You see, the Pentagon and stuff, they don't see it that way. Got incredible diversity of nuclear weapons, and they run to small charges, so they can quite easily let off a few nukes that are virtually toys. But can you imagine what that would be like in the public psyche around the world? It's like nuclear war has started. It's like, nah, it's barely bigger than the biggest conventional weapons they've got, but the psychological thing, they will definitely use that for shock and awe. They have to shock everybody and paralyze them for the next phases. I can't see how they can avoid it.
I was thinking, like, there's a lot of talk about this sort of internet blackout. They've been like prepping, haven't they? There was some operation for like an internet down, and maybe that would be like a false flag reason to say, oh look, China's attacked us, here we go, and then they can start war that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cyber attack. Yeah, but a cyber attack is a good casus belli, but the best casus belli is to try and do a feint, try to get Xi to invade Taiwan. But he knows what they're trying to do, but he's stuck because the population in China has the expectation that they will have Taiwan by 2025. So he kind of, he's going to lose it internally if he doesn't go for it. But America's desperate for him to invade Taiwan. But I think what they'll probably do is to try and embroil America in another. See, the reason why they left Afghanistan is it's preparation for war. All those guys have been hauled out of Afghanistan to prep for war. But the obvious thing is to try and get them in a meat grinder in the Middle East, in Iran and stuff like that. But that's I mean, that, from the Putin and Xi side, from the Pooh Bear side, is to try. You see, they have to drag America into a war of attrition, and America has to do a lightning war, blitzkrieg. So that's the game. The two are playing off. But anyway, Africa is going to be very interesting, because Africa is one of the first theaters after the Middle East. Right?
Yeah, I mean, surely America wouldn't be stupid enough to go in boots on the ground again, though, after what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean,
No, they're already in Mozambique, right? They're already going in against Boko Haram in Nigeria and in East Africa. It's very quiet, but nobody knows about it.
Sorry.
The American boots on the ground in Mozambique now. They're going against Boko Haram and in Central Africa, and particularly in East Africa and the Horn, and that it's all very quiet. It's not being published very much, but they're up to their necks in Africa because China is in Africa.
That's all special forces, isn't it? Like, you know, small, like all of them do anyway, don't they? It's not.
That's how wars fought. Yeah, that's how wars fought today. They do what they do to the Viet Cong and all of those you know, the not the Viet Cong. Who were the guys on the Vietnamese side, on the American side, and the Young Mao? Who were they? No. Oh, anyway, those Hmong guys. They were, you know, they just used them as guerrillas. So you have a few advisors, like they did in Afghanistan. You have few advisors, special forces, and then they try and, you know, mobilize the locals. Right? No, that's what's happening in Mozambique.
Can I change the subject, or do you have more to say about war and World War, Cold War number? I
No,
don't
go
know.
ahead.
No, because this morning in the Eastern meeting we started talking about the manifesto, but we didn't really go deep into it, and I was wondering if there was some feedback here about it, as I'm still at half of it because of all the emails I got today.
Yeah, I've only read about half of it, but yeah, it looks really good. I think there maybe was one typo early on, but no, like that's pretty minor. It's good. Yeah, it's pretty thorough. I don't know. I like the idea of. I guess you have to publish it online, of course, but yeah, maybe it should be in some kind of. Be good to try and make a book of it or something. A little red book.
So many links in it.
Palatable for folks. Just it left drips of like extremism and conspiracy theory, I think, than some of the video content seems like it does. Just like it seems like it's put on a dress shirt and is presentable.
Yeah. What do you think? It's okay? Is everybody okay if we adopt that as a manifesto?
I think the science is a good amount as well. There's not too many graphs and charts. I think you describe things pretty well. It's pretty approachable. I'm not very good at science, but it's pretty understandable.
I would before we greenlight it, I would try it against some shall we say normies? some folks that can that are not confirmation bias prone.
Yeah, I already sent it to some family members to check out. I already sent it to my girlfriend and my brother, but I don't think they would have read it. I'll have to try and persuade them to even read the first page.
I have a good suggestion for how we can normie test it. Is put it in front of XR, because I want to do the you know, goodbye and thanks for all the fish post on XR Med, and then migrate to the Extinctionati sub on Reddit. And so I was going to just go to Veneratio 5 if everybody agrees with the manifesto. Just say, hey, just for old time's sake, will you post this on the Extinction Rebellion and just say goodbye because we're shipping out. And if he doesn't, then we can just, you know, use a burner account or something to just post it there, or put it on other places, like, you know, basically stalk them a bit, stick it on the YouTube and Facebook and stuff. But I think, yeah, basically all it's saying is, goodbye, thanks for all the fish, and in case you're wondering what it was all about, here's the big reveal in the manifesto.
I was wondering who would have the attention and the patience outside our little circle to read such a long thing. Like, I think I said that this morning too. And this morning somebody wrote in the comments of the meeting, it just came back. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Divine Beast. And he said, if we print it, maybe we should do something with the first part of the book. In the middle part of the book, you have to flip the book to read the rest.
That's clever. That's clever. The flippening book.
No, we should make a flip book where the Earth just, yeah, man, come on, that's cool. I think I'm going to have to do that for my video, is do a flip book.
I've skimmed it, and the only, I wanted to pour over it, spend like a semester. It's like an open university course.
No, we should. No,
Yeah.
we should. It's just basically, I'm getting impatient. I want to start, popularizing it and seeing how far we can get.
The one typo I found was that you referred to Klaus again as Charles. Klaus Schwab. You said Charles Schwab, which is a financial company.
Oh yeah.
That's about
I
the only thing.
mix the two up. Let me do.
The other thing too is
oh my God! Oh
you
shit!
mentioned war today in our forum. In our meeting now. Would that be part of the collapse of GIC?
Wait! I didn't hear you. Say that again, please.
Today we have been talking about war, but I don't think I saw any mention in the. Of course, it's about the flippening, but if we're saying we want to survive the collapse of GIC, wouldn't war be in there somewhere?
You see, I glossed over it and I put the reference to the Four Horsemen video. You see that the Four Horsemen video was in 2010, and they were bang on. It was just a little bit too early, but they sketched out pretty much what's coming, and yeah. So I thought that they said it all there. I didn't want to forget
financial. The Four Horsemen, was that the one about the financial crisis and the? I just completely.
All of them. It was really about collapse, right? So it was a documentary about the Four Horsemen. It's basically there's war coming, there's financial collapse, and they figured it. But there's I maybe if you want me to go through more, but I mean I think we must do stuff on the Extinctionati sub and start doing posts where we develop all these kind of themes. So it's just a teaser, really. The
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's great. Thanks.
I do have a bit of feedback on the use of Google Docs. That rubbed me the wrong way because it just tracks everybody.
Oh no, I'm not going to use that. No, I've put it on the Cirrus Institute website as a PDF.
Okay.
Yeah, it is up actually on there. You can see a link to it at the top left on the Cirrus Institute. But yeah, just direct everybody to the PDF. I uploaded it again today. I refreshed it, but if everybody puts in edits and stuff, and if everybody's okay and approves it now, I think in the Eastern meeting we all kind of approved it. So if the Western meeting is gives it a thumbs up, then I think we should go with it, and we can change it at any time. Right? We can change it as it goes. And it's just for the first quarter 2022. You can modify it and re-release it when it gets out of date. But I would like to do a couple of things. One of them is to get this people get the science checked, and for with people like Sabine Ossenfelder and stuff like that. But anybody that would look into it and engage. But I think I laid it out that this is, pseudoscience. The most earth science departments in that train people to say this is pseudoscience, but it ain't.
Yeah, I appreciated all of the references, and it made me think it was kind of like a collapsopedia, with all the different links to follow.
I imagine it's quite a gut punch if you never heard about doomerism, right? If you all think this is, a meter of sea level rise in 2100, it's might be a little shock. But yeah, I think should float it around the doomer community and stuff like that, and just see what people think. But I think the doomer conversation is getting awfully stale. So I think it could do with a bit of fresh air.
Are you going to send it to Guy McPherson?
Yeah, probably not him, because he won't do an interview with me again, because he wanted me to edit the comments in the interviews that I did with him, and I refused to. There were some mildly negative comments, not that bad, but he insisted. So I had this long ding dong battle with him in about 50 emails, but and he like threatened legal action. He went completely over the top. But my line was, I'm trying to advocate a free speech zone. I can't exactly start censoring people on my channel. I said, you're quite free to just do a response. And he says, no, I do that all the time, and they just get snowed with more shit. And so, but anyway, the whole gist of it was an anarchist to anarchist argument about what constitutes authoritarianism and free speech. And it turned out that he's a complete authoritarian, as many anarchists turn out to be when you start scratching the black paint off. But yeah, a lot of anarchists are anti-authoritarian, not because they're anti-authoritarian in principle, it's because they want to be the authority. They're like communists that way. It's like
afford legal action. That's a bit rich. Him threatening legal action. That's unbelievable.
He hit me harshly.
I reckon.
Background. But anyway, he's not in the running. He won't go for it.
Send it to George Thacklasides. Oh, what's happened to George? Have you seen anything he's done in recent times? I haven't looked him up.
I exchanged an email about a year ago, and he was in Greece at the time, and I said, come out and visit, and he said he would love to, but he had to leg it back to the doldrums, to the winter of discontent. Round your way, Tom. So George, be cool.
And are you sending it to Faulty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say also kind of goodbye and thanks for all the fish, but yeah, so Faulty is interesting because they failed. So I hope he doesn't take it the wrong way, but I want to say, it's like I said to him, it's like his tactics are obsolete. If you have a revolution now, it's a youth revolution. And the youth they're in the metaverse, they're on their phones, the idea that they're going to rise up in ire in this, kind of moral outrage, it's like it's never going to happen. And you can see it. So the plan was that, the latest campaign would yield a few hundred arrests. It yielded 9. And then those were supposed to go on to yield at least 6,000, in this quarter. But I think nobody, Tom, what's your read on it? But I think that they're going to get almost no one now, because the campaign got media attention, but it fell flat as far as I can see.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I haven't really been following any news on that, to be honest. So I'm not very good to give them. Perhaps Bob knows more. I haven't heard anything. I've been just following the usual thing and your posts and stuff, or some of your posts, but there's so much.
Yeah, I don't follow any of that anymore. I don't know if they're going to. I don't know. It all seems a bit. Well, it's pointless, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always what I kind of thought.
It's like, not even entertaining at the moment to think about.
Yeah, but where do they go? So if they seize Parliament in a grand insurrection, and then what? And then we solve climate change. How?
Yeah, I suppose if people don't really recognize how fucked everything is. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I think
no. It's Tom. Tom was talking, but he wasn't.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say one thing I did notice along the similar lines of that police crimes bill was there's that new internet harms bill thing. And Big Brother Watch was saying like this is really bad news, but I mean that's been in the pipeline for some time now, even before COVID. But what their big steal is, their stick is that all these conspiracy theorists and all this kind of extremism, online extremism is we need to crack down on that. So they're really going gung ho with that now. I think that's all going through pretty soon. That was in the news last week. So that's quite worrying. That's coming thick and fast now. That was the latest sort of thing along that sort of line. But in relation to the police crimes bill, I can't remember when that actually goes through. Has it gone through? I'm not sure.
No, it's in its third reading in the House of Lords, and then it'll go for royal assent. So it'll be, I guess, February or March. It'll get through to royal assent, and then become law. So,
but this was all the stuff that the Labour Party was pushing for under Blair and Jack Straw and all that motley crew, and it's like it seems bizarre to me how many people go, oh, the UK democracy is eroded or whatever, and it's like there never was such a thing, and it's like if you ever bothered to pay any attention, I mean, I just find it boring now. Oh, I'm living in an authoritarian police state. Oh, it's like I've been saying it's the only difference is now if I say this as opposed to 20 years ago is that nobody says anything about a tinfoil hat at the moment. But this has just been the state. I mean, this is what the state is all about. I think that they had a wobble, didn't they? After World War II, they felt like they had to pretend to be nice for a bit, having slaughtered half of mankind in pursuit of God knows what. And they've been trying to sort of withdraw that pretense of niceness ever since. And every little opportunity that comes along to erode it and whatever, take the mask off or whatever cliche. So, yeah.
Yeah, they had to play nice because they were scared everybody would go communist when they thought all the GIs would come back from the front and go communist.
Yeah, and it was just a very slow process of them realizing that they had more, obviously they had more power than they thought, because the sheep are easy to pacify when it comes down to it, I guess.
Yeah, Eddie Bernays and that gave them all the tools. So yeah, we live in that shadow, but we're gonna have to tap dance shortly, but we made one sweep before a few years ago, and Reddit did a sweep, and like they purged about a few hundred sites, and like most people were amazed that we made it through. But yeah, I think the general tactics and stuff that we've been using, you know, just obfuscation, I think we would survive a sweep, right? Because they generally put what they used to. I mean, maybe things are changing, but there are always two categories: is, you know, aspirational and operational. And so, you know, we would definitely be flagged as aspirational. We haven't got any concrete plans and stuff. So we don't have any concrete plans here. So that was normally enough to stay alive. But they're showing signs of doing a sweep. But I think, you know, it's a game of how high the nail sticks proud. So, you know, as the Chinese say, you know, the nail that stands high gets the hammer, and so there are a lot more nails higher than us. You know? So I don't think we would get some advance warning that the scythe was coming. But anyway, they're just trying to shut down conspiracy and free speech, and so if you just be subtle, I mean, I've been shown. I think I'm got the right level of obscurity and ambiguity that, you know, you wouldn't get ahead. Yeah, you see that basically you would be assessed, right? So everybody's on a threat list, and I mean, it's just everybody, and so you just bubble up from there based on a few, you know, keywords and a bit of AI doing some threat analysis on what your conversation topics are. I mean, but the Google is doing this shit just for commercial reasons. I mean, we say shit. I mean, I make references to some obscure shit like you know, the temple or something like that. Now I'll go on YouTube, and within an hour they're fucking recommending shit with the temples or the areas and stuff. It's like they're analyzing the. You know, I mean, after putting the YouTube video.
It's fucking creepy, that stuff.
It's, when you upload a video to YouTube, they basically do speech analysis. You can see the speech analysis.
I think this is happening in phone calls as well.
Yeah.
If you have a WhatsApp
anyway,
or
this has been going on for 2 decades. It's not new, right? This is since 9/11. So they you know, what it means is you bubble up the threat list, and then at some stage, you know, the AI can't do much. At some stage, it just flags you for a threat analysis, and then some stupid Talpiot dickwad or somebody in Eglin Air Force Base has some, you know, E23 or something is given the task of, you know, just reviewing all of this shit. Now I feel sorry for that poor bastard who has to view us.
And he's going to read the manifesto.
I had that as one of the things in mind. One of the reasons why it reads Start Shit is that some of the stuff I'm revealing. So by the way, it's a zoo in the Pentagon and the CIA and the NSA and stuff like that. And it's not homogeneous, right? Basically, the FBI is kind of on the woke side and in with the Dems and all that, but they're utterly opposed to the guys in like the Pentagon and the CIA. They're different planets, and within those guys, they have a lot of shit that's you know, I told you about all the UFO guys and stuff. So the guys that I you know, just talking about the flippening is the main event as far as I know for the deep core of the story. That's as deep as it goes, but there are lots of variations, and one of them is the lunatic fringe of Space Force and the alien invasion, which they think is imminent and stuff. Although there are all sorts of, you know, crazy nutcases in the zoo, and they all have their own competing agendas and plans. But you know, they all agree on one thing, and that's that they're going to save their asses. But yeah, so anyway, this whole The only thing I said that's really incendiary is about the flipping, and I think they don't care about it too much because it's so well established as crackpot pseudoscience. So there's a level of safety in there. But yeah, I think in terms of they're looking for the TED crowd in particular. We'll get some points for talking to Derek Johnson and DGR and stuff like that. But you know, they in terms of a guy looking at us, you know, you got to imagine this 25-year-old guy, and he looks at all of this stuff, and you know, he's only got a limited amount of time, and he has to give some kind of assessment and move on. So in that time, I don't think we come anywhere close to being flagged.
About that TED video, that right-wing group in my country where they were talking about that. They were analysing it, and then I guess it was because it was quite a long format video those guys do anyway, and it was quite far in. But they were like openly talking, like half jokingly, but they were going into some interesting topics about how fragile the system is, and they were saying, I don't think people really realise like how fragile it is. You know, none of the leaders have ever seen the war. We could just go in there, like just Joe Rogan goes out into the countryside and you know, gets all his Joe Rogan army, and we can just go in and overthrow them. And they were like openly talking about how easy
No, you're allowed to do that.
But they were on to a point. I was like, I'm digging this. I'm for a joke.
No, you're allowed to do that. That's like libertarian talk and stuff. But there are lots and lots of libertarian groups, and particularly on the right and blah blah blah. But you know, BLM and not fucking around group and stuff like that. All of those guys, they pretty freaking milk toast. And then a lot of them are false fronts, right? They infiltrated and controlled opposition and stuff. You saw the thing with the governor of Michigan and that kidnapping and stuff. It was all fucking FBI sting operation. They were the poor guys that got involved in that. But I thought those anarchists, well, they're libertarian. They're not quite anarchists, but they
were analysing libertarianism, and I think they're kind of a hodgepodge of like dissident right, alt-right, really. But they are like definitely calling for like there's only one option now, which is basically we need to just go, you know, like revolution. Like that is what they are essentially. But they're just all a hodgepodge, and they're like, how do we actually unify? Like it's impossible because they're all having in-group fighting, you know, on the right. But yeah, they were joking about it, but they were like, you know, tongue in cheek, like that's what they're after, really. Because of course they're all back to, you know, to some bygone time when we didn't have all the shit that we have now, you know, the way the world is now.
But yeah, the problem with those guys is they're out of date. You see, most of the opposition is out of date because they, you know, they've been planning for this moment for decades. So if you're just starting your anti-tech revolution and stuff now, they've been, you know, building the bulwarks against you for a couple of decades already. So you really are dangerous.
Completely entangled in the woke stuff. I mean, that's their main, you know, gripe. They're wholly wrapped up in all of the culture, you know, the SGWs, like, you know, all of the leftist politics that they hate, that they despise. So they don't even touch on anything to do with climate change or anything, because of course that's traditionally a left issue, but I don't even think they would, it's not even on their radar, even though they have looked at like conspiracy theories and stuff. They're more kind of concerned with globo homo and, yeah, like the woke agenda and transgender, all of that stuff, which is like, well, it's worth talking about up to a point, but they are missing the bigger picture, as you say, and the technological.
Yeah, it's a pity because the guys think the same way we do, but then you get to the sticking point of climate change is they believe is a left-wing conspiracy, and then you get to Christianity, and then they will start Bible thumping, and it's like, oh God, you can't just leave those out. They can't. But it's a pity because we can certainly go some way down the road with them. But anyway, this kind of environment is what we will have to negotiate going forward, because it's going to be like a bit dystopian, and we're going to be in the middle of this totalitarian regime, and then this is what you do. You gauge what you can get away with. You gauge, it's a dance that you do with the state, and it was a bit of push and pull, and it's tug of war and stuff. But the aim for us is basically our only aim is for our group to get through the collapse of global industrial civilization, and with the dream goal of actually knocking the top of the pyramid so we could decentralize power, which is the common goal with these other guys. So it's like, it doesn't really matter about climate change and Bible stuff, as long as they want to decentralize power, then they're allies. Because just because I'm saying that the guys are going to do the scorpion and sting us all to death in the death throes. And so, but I think the best way to get to that goal is through the cult. Basically, if you get a lot, a loose affiliation of people, then you can aspire to being like the White Lotus group and infiltrate all these things. But I tell you, there's so many groups in this, from the Scientologists and the Mormons and all these guys. You won't believe this zoo. All these guys that are jockeying for this, everybody knows that this system's collapsing, and all the vultures are circling, and all the guys are just positioning and stuff.
That's definitely why I think it's still worth trying to interact with people like that. I mean, it hasn't borne fruit yet, unfortunately, generally, it seems, with our group, but maybe because there are some interesting characters out there in this whole space of, because they're all, all those guys essentially they're on our side up to a point. There's certain goals that we would have aligned with them, but then the problem is that some of those people are talking about, we need to topple power, and then we take power and do our thing. It's like, no, that's up to the point of toppling power. That's a good idea. But
but they're more, they're very sophisticated underground groups. They're particularly hacker groups and stuff, and those guys do have a chance, right? So anybody, the cyber warriors and stuff, those guys could take the system down. But that's a different league.
As you say, I'm talking broad brushstrokes here, but I completely agree. What you're saying is, like that, like a lone wolf is obviously going to be a much more powerful individual.
But there are, right? There these, guys like Benny and Snowden and stuff in place in some of these key positions. So, but I mean, we're not playing in that realm. So the thing is to just know that, and to it's good to exchange information with these groups, and they're good affiliates to have because they can warn you of shit. But at the end of the day, it's a question of reading the signals for what those other guys are doing, and then particularly like the Evergreen ship in the Suez Canal. I'm pretty sure that was a cyber attack, and so it's good to read those and and assess what's really going on there and stuff. So it pays to know about all those other groups, but you should delve into it. Go have a look at all the hacker sites and stuff.
Yeah, there's like that fire at the power terminal in UK, and then there was that fire at that microchip plant recently, wasn't there? All sorts of stuff that's happening
So
all the time.
there are lots of people out there. There are lots of people out there working underground. Yeah. But okay, so then so should we go? We're going to go with is like hands up with the manifestos. Is it all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Yeah. And all opposed? The motion is carried. Let's just say we have a new manifesto, but you can change it. Like we must go over it in detail, ask questions and stuff, and make sure we know what we want. But yeah, I think the next stage is we start publicizing it and promoting the idea. See how far we get. Okay.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to Surviving the Flippening.
Yeah, it's so much. These things are so from the literature. It's very funny. Is that like a lot of these people say it's priming, but it's such a weird space that we're in. It's where these things all come together, right? All these roads meet at Philippi, and so they're coming. All these threads come together, and the actual thing, the metaphor and the physical thing, they all converge in this very paranormal way. And so yeah, you just keep on getting these references to movies and stuff because it's everybody kind of had precognition of what's coming. And that, I don't think I'm saying it wasn't all planned and deliberate.
That film, Don't Look Up, was so funny just because it's just tragic, isn't it? How parallels. I was saying to everyone, trying to say, yeah, the parallels are just art imitating life, really. Yeah. I love the part where they try and get off to that planet, and then Meryl Streep
Actually,
gets.
I was a little bit surprised because I thought DiCaprio was an insider. I thought he was one of these guys. I didn't realize that he was on our side. so I was a bit surprised. I thought he was in with all these transhumanists and stuff. So it came as news to me that he's actually on our side. But yeah, so freaking apropos. Thanks for. I think Joe gave me the thing, but it was in Hindi, so I had to watch it with English subtitles. But I got the general idea. But it was very funny because of what they left in English and what they had in Hindi. So it's funny what they leave because they go like Harish Mahagate, we really fucked, eh? Yeah, it's like it's all like that. I thought, why do you leave them? We really fucked in English.
Oh, it's a shame you didn't see it in English because the Mark Rylance character was absolutely brilliant. I just loved it when all the little drones were going to land on the comet. He's like, I'm getting out of here now. It's so funny. His voice and his mannerisms. He's a good actor. I liked that. He played the Jeff Bezos character brilliantly.
Yeah, it's I mean,
I think it was Musk. It was not Bezos. He was Musk. I think. No, what do you think?
No, yeah, he's Musk. Yeah, he was Musk. Poor Musk. And Musk is not an insider though. They mixed up all the, Freemason stuff. I think Musk's an outsider. He's not in that stuff. But yeah. But anyway, it was that movie nailed it. But I was surprised at how the establishment panned it. They didn't like it, and I thought, come on, how can you not see how obvious? Well, maybe they did see how obvious it was. That's why they panned it. But I think the part of the, I think it resonated with the people. Which is good for us. I thought it was good. A good warm-up act for us.
It did make me laugh though, because a lot of actually it was suggested by a friend of mine, and the reason he suggested it was because I'd left WhatsApp a while ago, just because I'd left Facebook, and I saw him again at Christmas, and then he said, and then he sent me this text message saying, "Oh, I know why you hate Facebook and da-di-da, but there's this film you should watch." And he was looking at it completely from the angle of, oh yeah, there was so much, everybody's in their phones, they're so absorbed on the internet and social media and all these other issues, and like sexism and all this stuff. And I was like, but what about the blindingly obvious parallel with the fact that we're facing, catastrophic climate disruption and probably it just didn't. That part was kind of, well, I think it, he didn't say a lot when I said that. So I mean, it's not like he's a climate denier, but I was just like, come on, man, like there's like a bigger issue there than all the other just social bollocks, all the other social issues. Yeah.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, they do all freaking die in the end, which was pretty bold. But what struck me about that was, that's what I've been trying to say, and I tried to say in the manifesto, is that I don't give those individualists, they're all those sovereign individuals and that billionaire type, I don't give them any chance, kind of for exactly the reason that he spelled out there, is they all think they're going to outcry genocide, the flippening and stuff like that. Is so like they're not going to do it, not because the T-Rex grabs them, but when they come back down to earth and stuff, they're going to be in their own worst enemy. They're gonna duke it out with their peers. It's fine that they're all a big club now, but that's because we're around. If we're not around, those guys will tear each other apart. I mean, can you imagine a world populated by Bezos and Richard Branson and Musk and stuff like that? It's like those guys are ultra competitive. They would freaking be nuking each other before you even through the nuclear winter, the volcanic winter. It's like pathetic.
Yeah, you can imagine people like that bickering and fighting over who gets to sit there and make the fire, like with the stick, like the San Bushman. You get to sit there and, picture those people just fighting over who gets the labor to do that instead of all doing it together.
Exactly. You think Bezos is going to roll up his sleeves and volunteer to go and get the firewood or kill an elk? It's not going to happen. These guys are not going to make it as hunter-gatherers. So
yeah, if you got a sense of entitlement, you don't got a fucking chance. It's like you got to all share in doing the work to make the fire, to hunt the animals, to like look for clean water to drink because that's running out.
Yeah, my worst scenario, I mean, they are slated to be the survivors, right? They're front running as the survivors, I think, more than like the Piraha and indigenous people and stuff. And so what would be really tragic is if they made it through and then fucked it up, which I'm almost certain they would do.
They're in that position because their fantasy is that they would have some new, I don't know, new city to go to that's all super high tech, or they would just commit suicide, wouldn't they? Like they wouldn't, like they wouldn't want to be. They would. There's no way that they would allow themselves to continue if that was what was left. Surely, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I think so. I think
Because they
so.
have
And it's,
to Mars or to some thing they're going to preserve that they can jump into. You know, some vision of a new world.
yeah, they have I mean, I think they have a very definite position of the new world as with them on top. But yeah, it's that's what I think about the Great Reset and stuff. Is that people like Klaus Schwab and stuff are so entrenched in their own certainty that they're not seeing the obvious. That once you put these things into play, the outcome might not be as they think. So you know, they can do the financial Great Reset and put that ball into play and not think that they can lose control of that. They're so into their narrative of control, they don't notice how vulnerable they are in some of these transitions that they're planning. So it's ample opportunity to come out. For anarchists, this is the time of a lifetime, but it's the opportunity of a lifetime for so many radicals. So everybody's licking their chops. It's going to be freaking interesting. It's going to be really interesting negotiating this. But yeah, it's important to know what's going on, because your head's going to have to be on a swivel to keep up when things start really going. So unless you know, a bit wired into all these groups and stuff, you're not going to understand it's going to be freaking dizzy, right? So we got it. But anyway, slowly. This time it's not like we've got months or something. I think we've got years. So anyway, all right, good. Well, unless anybody's got anything else, I think that should wrap it up, shouldn't it? Okay, I'm gonna put the goodbye and thanks for all the fish post up there, and then let's move to the Extinctionati sub. Bye bye, Extinction Rebellion. It was fun.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah. Oh God, what a pathetic controlled opposition op. Anyway, I think it served our purposes pretty well.
We tried our best. We tried our best.
Well, I think it's a success. I was just, you know, combing them for recruits, and so yeah, we did fine out of it. We did fine, but the easier pickings. Maybe we should go on to easier pickings, like, you know, the conspiracy nuts and those guys are easy pickings. Low hanging fruit. Anyway, yeah, let's see how it goes. But good. All right. Well then, yeah. In next week, let's start. Hopefully, everybody's finished the manifesto, and then we can do any more late changes and stuff. But then let's start trying to launch a campaign to try and publicize the whole damn thing, man. I think I might do an AMA this week. And then that's probably going to garner a lot of flaming. So please support me on it. It's very hard work because it's psychology. You're basically doing psychotherapy for all these nutcases, normies, basically. And so, yeah, if I do an AMA or so, I'll warn people on the Extinctionati sub, and then just please come and give me some support there, because an AMA and stuff is a lot of people and a lot of trolling. So you know, you're going to be sport. I'm going to be complete sport there. It's going to be blood sport if I do that. But so anyway, yeah, we got to do it. Go places where Paul Kingsworth would not. Go where angels fear to tread. And there's definitely an AMA and stuff like that.
It's like that clip you linked in one of your videos of Neo fighting all the Smiths. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the Smiths. The Smiths. Yeah, the Smiths are right out there on those subs. You know. But anyway, it would consolidate all our thinking and stuff like that. One of the things I hope I got right. Tell me if I didn't. But one of the things I hope to achieve with the manifesto is to make sure all our ducks were in a row. So if you saw anything that is inconsistent or in our thinking, or you know, it doesn't make sense or anything, then that's bad. I think the whole thing should be coherent, top to bottom, and then you know, we must be defensible as well. But anyway, like lots of sport this year.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think the manifesto is good. I didn't spot anything contradictory in that sense. I think it's, you know, well-rounded and straightforward.
Was it
Yeah.
you that suggested this morning to print the book and in the middle you'd flip it? I think it was you that wrote that this morning.
Oh no, not me. It was someone
No.
else. But
Was
I
it
was
someone else?
thinking,
Maybe it was going south. Maybe it was I couldn't
yeah, it
remember
was
who.
one of those guys. Yeah, it
Yeah,
wasn't me.
I
that was really
I
funny.
yeah, I definitely want to make a flip book for a short movie on the flip. No, like you know, with the Earth going.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's really good. I definitely think it's the right time to do this now. I just think it's perfect timing.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
think
point
so too.
it's a time to say, look, this is next level. Like, wake up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure what our reception will be, but I think our timing is spot on.
It's like, fuck
Anyway,
the pandemic. Now there's the flippening. So leave us alone with your pandemic. Now there's much more important business to tend to.
yeah, but I mean, that's the way it is. Everybody's there's this pregnant pause. Everybody's stuck in the rut, waiting for Godot, you know. And so this is kind of a hope that we could contribute to this kind of pricking of the balloon.
Hugh, when you post to the other subs for the, you know, normie review, could you please also cross post it to the XR Med sub so we're aware? You probably most likely do that anyway all the time, but yeah.
I would like to abandon XRMN now.
Oh, okay. Well, how would we
I mean,
know?
I'm not going to lock it or anything like that, but I just like let it die now is what I'm thinking.
But how would we
leave
know
it all up there for
cross-posting?
historical purposes. But
how would we know where you're cross-posting these or publicizing the manifesto?
I'll put everything from now on our Extinctionati and Gyrate Reset on the Gyrate Reset.
Thanks.
But yeah, I'm planning to not do any more of the new stuff and stuff. It's getting like boring. Everything's just the same old freaking disasters one. So unless it has any relevance to surviving, but you know the kind of psyop part, kind of want to wrap that up and stuff. I don't want to do any more disaster porn and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's probably prudent because for folks who are looking to hedge their bets in a way, like if they're not fully convinced that collapse is imminent or happening within their lifetime, and we're focusing on survival and how we can do a better job of that, that may still be like, hey, even if we're wrong, I'm going to gain some good experiences, some good skills out of this, and some good friends perhaps. So like it's a different thing than the gut reaction of you know, everything's on fire all the time, and I'm just not going to believe in that because that's uncomfortable for me. Like it's if you're going into it with like wow, these are some really valuable skills that we've all left behind in our industrial civilization. Like, why have we lost touch? And I want to grow, and I want to have some meaning in my life. Like, that's a different thing.
Yeah, I think so, exactly. It's a less incendiary stuff and basically more kind of Dark Mountain stuff, which is it's a pity that Paul has vacated Dark Mountain. I would like to do more kind of thoughtful stuff and Dark Mountain stuff and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not taking us so seriously, but not shit posting anymore. It's good for a phase and stuff, but I think people need something else now. Bit more relief. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I'll probably post less often and do more writing than just just posting news stuff and stuff. It's like, oh god. And yeah, maybe I want to do more anti-Christian stuff because I think we've been holding off too long on that, being too politically correct, and I think that's coming to the fore. We've got to address that. This bloody boil of religiosity on it, but just in terms of the bug and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I've not changed my mind even slightly that there's a worrying component of HIV in it, and so it's just like try and avoid anything to do. I mean, I'm trying to avoid getting it, and I'm trying to avoid the jabs too, because I'm looking at stuff and I can see that it looks like they've gone actually negative on efficacy. And so, some doctor was posting saying there's no logical way that could be supported in biology. And yeah, there's a fucking good way. It's basically if it has an HIV component and people are getting immunodeficient. And then that would show why you have to keep on having these boosters. And every time you have a booster, it gives you a little bit of protection, but then less and less and more negativity. And that's what the data is showing as far as I can see so far. So
I was commenting on what you said about that, is that there's also other factors at play too. There's also the fact that isolation, stress, poor diet, vaccines, and even if they haven't got engineered HIV components in the spike proteins, but there's all sorts of other factors that are at play that are decreasing the immune system, and basically people not interacting with each other.
No, but those should be across the board. You see, what the things from Denmark and stuff are showing is that people are actually at higher risk if they have the jab.
If they have the jab, yes, I've seen that.
And
but
so,
now
like a good answer for that is they're getting immunodeficient, which is the thing I've been worrying about.
But also there's the numbers, you see, because it depends on the countries. But in the Western countries now, we're starting to get into a high percentage of people who are jabbed. So we're starting to have a kind of a population we don't know. We don't know. You see, we can't compare.
No, that's the thing about the Danish data. Is the relative rate of hospitalization and infection is much higher in the vaccinated and boosted. So the unvaccinated are drastically unrepresented.
But it's happening here too. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So the other things around all this thing is, I mean, as soon as I saw the symptoms for the G variant, it's like those other symptoms, the initial symptoms were the same time period, or about incubation period, about 2 weeks. They are identical symptoms to an HIV infection. And the most worrying one is shingles. And then the first sign is normally shingles. And then blow me away, fucking Pfizer comes out with the next messenger RNA thing that I just posted today. And what is it? Shingles. You think, oh no, fuck me, you're fucking kidding me. They're not even trying to hide it. But that it's GP320, I think, is the protein, and this GAB and VER proteins, and those are the ones from HIV. As far as I know, they found them in the freaking spike protein, and this Indian guys did the paper. There's it was all fucking out there. So
Yeah.
I think there's a better than even chance that there's those what is it, 84 and 88 proteins or so, they CD4, CD8, those are the ones that correlate with HIV, and they do with SARS too. And then they're using these retroviral therapies that are effective on HIV, and they're also effective on the G variant and stuff. And you think, oh no, come on, man. And then you go and look. I found this paper from 2014. They made a SARS chimera on an HIV backbone in China. And then they publish it.
I know. And this freaks me out so much. I kind of prefer to be, sometimes I just trying to find arguments against, because it really freaks me out so much. I just find it hard to face, to be honest.
But they're bioweapons. They're straight up bioweapons. But anyway, as long as everybody knows the story and stuff, then it doesn't pay for me to keep on yabbering about it. I will try and put stuff out there and try and be supple. But I think it's worthwhile toning down the refuse prick stuff now, because as long as everybody knows what the story is, there seem to be a lot of retributions now coming for. So it's such an easy gotcha. I think that we should just be more subtle.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to get derailed and die on the wrong hill here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think also around Christianity as well, that might be the wrong hill to die on. Because I mean, I felt like that's granted, it may get worse, and it likely will, but it's the new atheist stuff and things like that. Folks have kind of moved away from making that a principal part of their identity, like strident, like anti-Christianity, because it's just kind of already kind of gotten into the water supply everywhere. Like it's kind of known now that's like, of course, yeah, that's silly. Why spend energy on it?
I know,
So,
but look what's happening. Look what's happening in Brazil at the moment, where the evangelists are taking nearly over the country, and in other tropical countries where their underhand churches are. So yeah, where we are probably where you say, Ryan, and I agree with you. But are you saying that we shouldn't focus too much on the anti-Christian for tactical reasons, so that we wouldn't be?
I think it's worth it because so the new atheists were just saying, basically there is no good man in the sky, like no bearded, like no metaphysical heaven or whatever. But what Hugh is going to do is more of the psychological element of Christianity, and that's the deadly part. That's the fucked up part. Like that's twisted shit right there. And I think it's worth going into and showing people how twisted it can get, because I've never seen any like atheist channel talk about the psychological elements of like these death cults and the Kool-Aid drinking. They just say, oh, basically, oh, there is no God. God is dead and we have killed him and all that. And that's surface level shit. That's kindergarten.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought that this is a trend. That what you saw with Kingsnorth is I'm sure is going to be a trend, because that is a hell of a capitulation to go from like dark minded to Christianity. Is kind of a man. That's if Paul can pull that off, I think a lot of people are going to go that way.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand that either, because like Christianity is like the enemy of the wilderness and freedom and life. Like Christians have been just like, I don't know a Christian in my state. It's a very heavily Christian state that like that holds nature and primacy. Like they literally
Yeah,
don't
it's
give
a
a shit
total
about the.
sellout.
Yeah,
It's a
they're
total
all for.
unnecessary sellout. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
Well, at the
it's
beginning of
it's
the
worth
meeting, at the
it's worth
beginning of the yeah, sorry.
yeah, it's worth going into because I remember in your talk with Hank how you showed the clip of the deforestation, the guy like shooting the orangutan, like, and you're bringing up like, you know, that guy thinks he's on the side of God and all that. It's like, yeah, that's apt.
Yeah, they're
You
2
missed the
billion Christians, right?
Hugh was talking about the book of Genesis being the definite manifesto of the war against the natural world waged by Christianity or by monotheism or whatever you want to call it, you know.
Yeah, there might even be a couple passages in the Bible that are wise. Like there's the one with the Tower of Babel and how like God destroyed the tower and then made everyone speak different languages and disperse into tribes. That's like what we should do. But yeah, most of it's, you know, Hugh has gone over it. It's world hating, it's life hating. Basically, if Christians want to get on the right track, you basically take like Gnosticism and turn it on its head, like invert it, and then there you go. Plato's world of forms is fucking evil.
Yeah, I agree. You see, it's also important, I think, for developing our own egregore. So I was saying in the meeting this morning is that, you know, we're a cult, so it's it's standard cults tactics to start developing and defining yourself based on the other and the out group. So I think it's easy to form Christians as the out group and to basically to develop our own egregore around that.
Can I ask why Christians specifically and not all Abrahamic religions?
All Abrahamic religions, but the other two, I'm a little bit afraid to go there, right? So that
Yeah.
those guys are a little. So just so you know, one of the reasons why Hank went a little bit off the wall because of that, right? He said in one of his bad moments that I was trying to get him killed by our friends from the Middle East, and so I never wanted him to do anything outrageous or anything. I didn't never pushed him to do, but he thought I did, and so he went had a bad moment and said I was trying to, you know, get his family killed and stuff, but with, you know, by these guys, you know, by invoking the wrath of of the
Oh, that's
anti.
interesting. I never knew that. Was that a video you did with him then that you didn't record or something?
If you have a look at the Greta videos, right? We were going into this thing, which is basically, is Greta going to lead the Joan of Arc, the youth rebellion? And then right at the end there, I started talking about one of the Abrahamic religions, the other one, and then he got a little uncomfortable. And he says, "Hugh, do you really want to go?" I said, "Yeah." Because basically,
yeah, I do remember. I do
that is
remember that.
that is the crux of it. But then, yeah, we had some other conversation. He said, like, you can't go there. Like these guys will, you know, Charlie Hebdo you and me. And I said, well, I didn't really want to go for those guys because those guys are kind of a little bit too far gone, right? The Christians you can still talk to, right? If you can talk to the other crowd as Zionists, you can hammer them as Zionists. You can just about get that away with that. They're starting to wear a little bit thin where they accuse you of being anti-Semitic when you're anti-Zionist. But yeah, you know, in this cancel culture environment, so Christianity is a stalking horse for that other religion. But then the jihadi guys, they're weird because they are, funnily enough, kind of allies, but they're kind of dangerous in a lot of ways. One, because they're very fundamental, and in general, but they strange allies because they believe in the flippening. So basically, the easiest sell for the flippening that you're possibly going to get is these people of this persuasion, because it's actually in the Quran. It's described in the last hour, and they say the sun will come up in the west and the earth's going to flip. They say it, or so if you talk to a mullah or an imam, the guys think it's the magnetic pole reversal because they're a little bit sketch on their science, and so these guys would be your best friend if you said, do you know that the Quranic last days is imminent, and here's the science. They would love you for that. Where it gets a little sticky is they're recruiting. They want converts, right? So if you say like, yeah, you've got it nailed, but you also got the wrong. You're also bowing down to the wrong guy. You're going to make bad enemies.
You mean they want to convert a lot, but why? I mean, are they easy to convert?
No, because it's just this one quirk that they've got this bit of the science wrong.
Yeah.
But you see, if you say, hey, look, we can correct the science for you, they'll be your real buddies, and they say, by the way.
But what would be the point? Like, what would be the point? I've mentioned it to a Muslim friend, said, yeah, it's in the Quran, and it was just like, that's how it's it's a fact. Yeah.
So I don't know how much recruiting we can do on that score, and that's dangerous territory from the point of view of the state. Is after the far right, the next guys up are the Islamic extremists, right? So it's like, if you get too pally with them, then you really are standing proud. So I think that it's permissible to have a go at Christians. So I think you can get away with that without getting into serious trouble. But
is it possible? Is it possible to go after all of them by going after more fundamental principles behind that are shared, that are just not?
That's what I was going to say.
Just don't go after the labels, but go after the principles behind the labels.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is basically through going after Christianity, you can get the other two by default.
So we rest Paul's case, and we just forget about his personality and his works, because I will write again to him when I've rested, because there was too many messages, but I think we just leave that. We leave, as you say, Ryan, not personalities, but the concepts and the whole idea of Christianity, and we don't organize meetings with Christians where we debate. I think we're going to find ourselves in wasting our time.
Yeah, but I think if you just let him stew a bit, I don't think he's finished with us. Doesn't matter
well, no,
I see the amount.
I have emails here coming in, and I haven't read everything, and I don't know what I'm going to reply yet, so I just leave it. I'm going to leave it for.
That's brilliant, because he said don't write again, didn't he, to you?
Oh no, he said don't write back, but he wrote back because something was.
That's hilarious.
And then something else, and I replied, and then he replied, and then I got another one, and I've just left it now to rest for the evening and for tomorrow, I think, until, yeah.
Yeah, I think this fisherman has caught a bigger fish than he's buying. But I think the fisherman is on the hook to the fish.
Yeah, but I still think what we said at the start is that he hasn't really looked into our stuff. He's only seen very superficial stuff. He's seen you, Hugh, in your provoking mode and everything. And, you know, he's taken that as a personal insult, which I feel, I mean, that's his problem. It's not my problem. But, you know, and maybe he wants to look into our stuff a bit more. And maybe, you know, that might be an occasion for him to, I don't know. Maybe
So how about this? How about this? So it did intrigue me a little bit that the one thing he didn't have anything to say about was basically what I thought was the hole below the waterline, and that was my argument from DNA and whatever
Well,
the logo.
that was a teenager, whatever. I don't know how he called. No, he didn't say anything about that.
No, I don't think he referred to it, which I thought was kind of like really interesting that he didn't go there. And I think
he dismissed it. He dismissed it. You know, he didn't even. Yeah, he didn't even.
Well,
talk.
I don't think he did. Well, if he did, I think that's.
But you see, that's why it would be interesting to talk with an intelligent, bright guy with a good brain, because. But if he had a sense of humor, and maybe we caught him on a bad day, maybe he didn't like his name to be on our sub. Maybe he didn't like that you called him Cringe North. You know, I don't know. It could be something
I'm
completely.
sure he wouldn't be endeared by that. But,
oh yeah,
but no, I just thought it's really interesting that he wouldn't gauge on a bit of theology. That I mean, I really want to know what kind of God it is, because I think he's lying to himself and to the world about, you know, this Christian God. And so, yeah, I would like to hear his answer on my challenge. It's like, why did he write a book?
The mystery continues to be followed. To be followed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I wonder though, you know, with you mentioned some of the, I guess, trolliness. If the XR Med is going to be moved away from as a tactic, if the trolliness should be dialed down at the same time, like in general.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, we're playing the role of the fool, right? We can't give up our role as cranks, right? So it's like.
I think you can play the role of like Socrates in a way, and just like be, you know, play the fool at several moves ahead, and get people to stumble into the realizations.
Yeah, but the thing, you see, it's not that linear, because you have to take what we're doing is shamanism and exorcism. So you have to take the beast and the demon that you're presented with one at a time, and they all spread across the gamut in the Ars Goetia. So you will come up against a demon where you have to use all sorts of tactics. You see. So it's like for Socrates, Jesus, all of these, that you come up with these Pharisees and stuff. So it's like, if you can't always just play chess, you can't win this game by just playing chess, right? It's all in no holds barred war. So you have to use all tactics. You can't. This is not an intellectual game like some Socratic intellectualizing like these guys on intellectual dark web and that thing.
I'm not talking so much about that as I am about kind of branding, because in each individual fight that you have, it establishes, you know, or like you can use whatever tactics and tools you want to win that particular engagement, but it has ramifications for all other engagements later.
Yeah, but that's why we have to be random, right? That's why we have to be random and look random. You have to be the crazy guy. The only identity we can afford to have is the crazy guy in the prison yard, right?
Yeah, it's a safe one.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be Socrates of this prison yard, the guys are going to nail you.
Well, that's what I told you at the start. I don't know if we were recording or not when I told you the last email that I got is saying, you are a very strange person, Sophie. So that means that, you know, that he cannot really fathom anything. He's not getting, he's punching against something where there's no resistance, and he can't understand that. So I'd like him to see that. It's just, I don't know. We let
Yeah, but
it.
look at all these guys who they make an identity and they polish it. Look at
Yeah,
Joe Rogan
I
and stuff.
know. I
It's
know.
like, yeah, he's the fashion of the day, but like
Yeah.
how much longevity does it have? I mean, look at the Weinstein brothers and
Yeah.
that. They're already passe, aren't they?
But who wants to be in a box anyway? But I noticed that the new Extinctionati sub has only got 15 members. The XR Med has 900. So it's going to be very interesting to follow the the tide. And
Yes,
as
because I think most of those, like half, I guess, are or more, are fake. I think Reddit is faking this out with membership. They gaming it, right? And so we will definitely see how many people migrate across. It's like how bad the game is. Yeah, but they're manipulating everybody. What it is social manipulation. So they're doing, they're doing basically punishment and reward. So they're doing, you know, they're trying to shape the audience and doing conditioning, effective conditioning. So they're trying to reward you with membership and stuff if you do the right thing and the right keywords. And yeah, I posted some of the spoof things there where I just said, and they got really upvoted, and I'm not sure those are real people. I think those are bots that spotted the right keywords. The bots didn't figure out that I was being ironic. So anyway, okay. Well, does anybody have any more topics? I think we addressed them all. All right, then let's wrap it up, shall we? Good, everybody. So let's just pause quickly. Paused it. Oh, well, thank you, everyone. Happy New Year.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy
Smooth
New Year.
sailing.
Thanks.
Oh, I'm
Thank
in
you.
port.
Thank
I'm
you.
not going
Bye-bye.
anywhere. I'm wintering. All right, bye.